Welcome to this webisode edition of Cuse Countdown. Syracuse takes on Cornell Tuesday night, so Ben Fontana and Evan Weston are alongside me, Kevin Barry, to take a look at the battle of the color wheel, the big red against the orange. But first, with Cornell and Notre Dame left on the schedule, Syracuse really needed that win against Princeton last time out.
Princeton was ranked 10th in the nation, and SU had yet to get a win against a ranked team this season, following Hopkins, Virginia, and Villanova. A statement win for Syracuse, showing that they really can beat an elite team, and perhaps with now Bobby Wardwell in net, they can be an elite team themselves.
And at 500 going into this game, they needed it to keep their NCAA tournament at-large hopes alive. Still not sure they can do it, but this was a big, big help.
So with that win, now Syracuse looks ahead to Cornell, and let's take a look at what that team is like. And you start with the attack. Steve Mock, he had at least 3 goals in 9 of Cornell's last 12 games. That was last season. He was sidelined with an injury for at least part of that year. Onto the midfield, Roy Lang. He's big with picking up ground balls at the faceoff X. That's something that Syracuse struggles with. On the close defense is Jason Noble. We'll talk about him a little bit more later on. And, of course, you have the head coach, Ben DeLuca, his second year as the head coach, but he's been an assistant there for nearly 10 years. And now our analysts take a look at the Cornell team in the crease. Our analysts are back for In the Crease. I'll throw out a topic, and you guys can either finish it or feed it. First off is Bobby Wardwell, the new goalie for Syracuse so far against that Cornell attack.
Well, Bobby Wardwell has proven himself. He got his first career start against Princeton on Saturday, and he really proved that he is the kind of player that SU needs. He started his first game, and this is what happened. He was in there to win the game. He was communicating well with his defense. He showed that his defense of Brian McGill where the slides were, showing the defenses how they could work. And what really surprised me is that even with 9 saves, he still showed that he was a bigger presence in net than Matt Lerman and Dominic Lamellonera have been all season long. That just goes to show you that Bobby Wardwell will eventually make himself a leader on this team and really develop into a gamer for SU.
I agree with you on that one condition, eventually. Right now, he's still an inexperienced freshman. And if it was any other team, I'd probably give him the benefit of the doubt here. But Cornell is really, really good. They're 5th in the nation in adjusted offensive efficiency. That's points per 100 possessions. This is a dominant team on the offensive end. Bobby's going to struggle.
But they are working without Rob Pennell. You got to keep that in mind, too.
You guys are in the crease, unlike Rob Pennell. But Tommy Palasek isn't bad there either. But now he goes up against Jason Noble for Cornell, the junior close defense.
Again, this is really rough for Syracuse to draw this kind of matchup because you love the momentum coming off the Princeton game. Jason Noble is an elite close defender. He's probably one of the top 2 in the country along with Johns Hopkins, Tucker Durkin. This is a ridiculously good player, and Palasek has struggled matched up against players like this. He had trouble with Durkin in the Hopkins game. Palasek's going to struggle here. He'll still get a few points, but Noble's going to shut him down for the most part.
You got to look at what he did against Princeton, though. He had 4 goals and 1 assist. He was the Big East Offensive Player of the Week. And with only a couple days off in between, you got to think that Palasek has the mindset now that he is the quarterback of this offense, if I can use that term, a football term. But he's really, everything's running through him. He's passing the ball well. He's finding his teammates, and he's scoring the goals at the right times for SU. You saw that big run at the end of the 3rd quarter. It really helped SU win that game, take the momentum away from Princeton.
If you take a look at the schedule at the end of the year for Syracuse, there's only one home game. That's against Georgetown. So what's it like for Syracuse to hit the road not only for the rest of the year, but specifically in this game against a team like Cornell?
Well, it's a big game because you remember what happened last year inside the Carrier Dome. Cornell came in and beat SU 11-6. It was a surprising win. SU had that undefeated season, and then all of a sudden, for the Big Red to come in and have more fans inside the Carrier Dome and be louder than SU, it really hurt Syracuse. So at the end of the day, when Syracuse goes into Cornell in Ithaca, New York, it's really still in Central New York, but at the same time, they got to keep that home mentality because Otto's Army is going to travel with them. They'll have the students there. They'll have the fans there. And they got to remember that this is still Central New York. This is still their territory.
Cornell actually has an advisory up on their website to park early. They expect this one to be a sellout. But I'm going to give SU a free pass here. I think this team is dialed in enough at this point, especially with senior leadership on offense, that the crowd isn't going to be as much of a factor as people think. I think they can handle the big stage. Almost everyone on this team has been there before. Again, goalie's a question, but based on how he played against Princeton, I'm willing to give them a free pass with the crowd. I think they're going to be all right there.
Teams tend to go back to basics when they're not playing well, but for Syracuse now, you'd think they're on the right track with the Princeton win. What do they need to win this game?
Well, I look at a guy like Jojo Marasco. He had 1 goal and 1 assist against Princeton on Saturday. And here's the thing that you really, really have to look at. why isn't he being that elite player that everyone wants him to be, that he was coming into this year? Jojo Marasco has been wearing that number 22 jersey for 2 years now and has yet to prove himself as a Gary Gait, as a Mikey Powell, that everyone expected him to be. So he's got to do things like create around the crease. I know he's at the midfield now, but he's got to dodge in and create his own offense, something that he can do, but just hasn't yet this year.
I'm going to look on the other side of the ball for mine. I'm going with the Syracuse zone. I think they dropped back into it for the last 3 quarters against Princeton, and it worked. Cornell creates almost all of its offense from the midfield. Roy Lang is a facilitator there. Mock is the kind of guy who can actually swing back up to the top of the box and operate from there. This is a team that's going to be you need to keep them out of from the area around the crease in order to stop them. That's where the zone comes in big, because you can't man up with short stick defensive midfielders and expect to keep them away.
Crunch the numbers. Does Syracuse win?
Absolutely, and it comes down to Bobby Wardwell, the guy who got his first career start in net against Princeton. And here's the thing, I had confidence in this guy going all the way back to the Duke game in the Big City Classic. I know he's only a freshman, but he's got all those intangibles that makes him the right starting goalie for this team. I think it doesn't matter who you look at. I think Coach Jesko was doing on Saturday. He was finding the right talent. It doesn't matter what year you are, as long as you have the talent to win. And you saw SU put together a nice win against a number 10 Princeton team. I said they do the same thing against Cornell in a low-scoring game with Bobby Wardwell getting the clutch save. Syracuse wins by 1 goal.
I agree with everything you said except for the last part. Any other team, really, I would give it to Syracuse. Cornell is really, really good. They're my pick to win on Memorial Monday this year, even if they don't have Rob Pennell. I love this Cornell team. I think they win by 3. It's going to be a close game. Syracuse will play with them, and I agree that Wardwell's the guy, but it's Cornell.
Thank you, Evan and Ben. You've already found the sports blog, so make sure to check out the rest of it for the rest of our Syracuse lacrosse coverage, but also follow us on Twitter at Citrus TV Sports, and you can even follow Cuse Countdown at Cuse Countdown. Alongside Evan and Ben, I'm Kevin. Thanks for watching.